There we go. Oh, too loud. All right. Welcome, one and all, to Ace in the Hole, episode 2. Your host, as always, me, Ace Shinigami, 10-time world champion of Pokemon Master, and, whatchamacallit, spiral completionist. I don't know, that's all I can think of. I'm gonna be a bit senile right now. Okay. What? Okay, I'm only 28. Okay, I'm not that old, but still. So, topics of today. Well, we got George Lucas from last week saying what he said about the Force. We got Kathleen Kennedy just backhanding a bunch of fans because she says the females get it worse than the men, basically. And what else do we got? We got the Acolyte, a bunch of interviews with the cast that don't know shit about Star Wars. Not gonna lie, it's pretty sad to see all these people very much trying to belittle actual fans when um, they themselves have not actually read any of the source material or anything like that, and they have such a way of being like, "Well, have an open mind," and da da da. I'm just, yeah, it's a doozy. Yeah, that's a fair point. As I'm hearing, they didn't have an open mind when it was originally what it was, with George Lucas at the helm. But now that all of a sudden it's pushed by women, and a very unpopular opinion, a one Chris Gore said, "You took a boys brand, Star Wars, and you made it into a female brand or a girl brand. Guess what? You're gonna push so many people away because of that, and a bunch of people will attack him on Twitter, X, whatever, because he was right. You had a 90 to 85% male dominated franchise, and you decide, well, let's make it female now. The Force is female. Just completely sidelining all the existing people that had been fans since the 70s, that have been fans since the late 90s, early 2000s. And especially with the whole extended universe stuff that went on, some of that was just one-offs. Obviously, like Starkiller, he's not an actual canon character, but when you got to play it, he was basically like of a parallel universe. If this character was able to exist, boom, you got Starkiller there. Badass character, right? Just he was a white dude who killed Darth Vader and Palpatine. Oh shit. Um, but no, I'm sure if they were to revisit that now, he'd be black or something like that. All in all, the amount of money also the Acolyte has spent on a series that is going to Disney Plus isn't going to bank them any actual net profit. The amount of money they've spent is ridiculous. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Whatchamacallit? Yeah, our boy Disparu says the episodes are about 30 minutes each, which, in all honesty, that means maybe 22 minutes of actual footage, and then the rest is 8 minutes of fucking credits, because that's how all these fucking programs are. It costs them $750,000 a minute. Jesus Christ. And that's only 8 fucking episodes. Not counting credits, not counting any teaser stuff they put for the other crap. But, back from that. Okay. So let's take a look see of what these people have to say and how fucking delusional they are. It's ooh. And then also the other side thing I have is something with Matthew McConaughey being put in an awkward position at the View. Those hags are already fucking poking and prodding to get a little snippet to put to their people and be like, look, see, this guy's bad. But we'll go over that a little later. Oh my god. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. Let's take a look, see what these females have to say. Actually, let me put my headphones on so that way. No, no, we won't have to put the headphones on. We'll just lower the volume. Ba-ba-ba-booyah. Okay. Starting off with these fucking idiots.
About who they are, but basically, Mother Anastasia, she has created a community on the planet of Brendok for
Oh wait, hold up.
this coven of witches because
groups
Right here.
that fans are familiar with, like the Night Sisters.
well,
Compare with other groups that fans are familiar with, like the Night Sisters.
well, I wouldn't compare them to the Night Sisters. I think it's
Also, just a heads up, this is Leslie Headland's wife. Okay. Former Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant. That's their wife. Difficult to kind of remember all this shit, but never forget. She didn't testify against Harvey Weinstein. Could have been the linchpin that really sent him to stay in prison for a lifetime. But she didn't say anything. Instead, she made a screenplay and a play about this. Broadway, I should say. And portrayed herself as the victim. Oh, shocker. Shocker that now she's in a position of power and will definitely not give that up very easily and use any other manipulative tactics to just keep her position. Very convenient that your wife now has a role in this show, but that's neither here nor there. Sorry.
I think it's best not to, and to just walk in with an open mind about who they are. But, basically, Mother Anastasia, she has created a community on the planet of Brendok for this coven of witches because we are existing in a time where, according to the Jedi, the power that we have to manipulate the Force is to be feared, is wrong, and we.
Again, there's a bunch of stuff that they're just talking about makes no goddamn sense. But you had someone. This video doesn't even have many views, but there was someone saying, this looks absolutely horrible. It's going to go down like a submarine without a motor and air. And, they're basically saying the only thing that's good recently that is Deadpool and Wolverine because guess what? You have someone in creative control that gives a fuck about the IP. Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool for all intents and purposes, right? He acts exactly like Deadpool. So it would make sense for Ryan Reynolds to care so much about the character that he basically pushed for and now has been able to play. Why would he want Disney to fucking put their hand up his ass and, move him around like a Muppet? Huh? Yeah, sorry. All in all, it's trying just culminate what I'm trying to say. You have these people that really don't care about Star Wars, and then seeing a project like Deadpool and Wolverine is infuriating for a lot of fans, because how hard is it to make a Star Wars film and stuff? Star Wars, right? They're not even using music from the original score that they can kind of siphon off and remix a little bit. There's none of that. You have always just this weird. The music doesn't fit, in my opinion, to Star Wars, right? It's something else completely now. And you got people like this that don't even acknowledge or can't even relate to what the characters they were being referred to as, which is sad. And then we got shit like this, again, same thing, where they don't understand the Force or the world they're in. So let's take a listen.
Okay, well, let me try to talk about this without getting fired or murdered. So my character, she's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes.
Just the response just puts a fucking tumor in my brain. I can't stand it.
In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be in that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
Yes, patriarchal. Even though we had Princess Amidala, even though we had Princess Leia, and other Yaddle, other fucking characters that were in power, female characters, I will say, and yet it's patriarchal. Like, tell me you don't understand fucking Star Wars without saying it. Every time they speak, they just word vomit, right? It's let's see what sticks, maybe this, maybe that, and then you got these fucking cucks over here basically just oh my God, this is the best thing, crying and shit, just listening to the bullshit. And it's like, yeah, you're not really fans. You're just most a lot of the people that cover it and are so enthusiastic about it get shown they have no backbone. They have no form of criticism. Everything that George or that Disney does is just praise, right? And there is such thing as praise bombing a fucking IP or a show or whatever and stuff like that. Most people don't talk about it. They're like, "Oh, there's review bombing." But there is such thing as praise bombing a fucking show where it just somehow gets 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5s. It's just the best thing ever. I've never seen a show that makes me feel so complete. It's like, really? There was a lot of stuff in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s that we didn't talk about any of this shit and people could relate to with ease. There was so many good stories to be able to build off of, characters that just were relatable. You didn't even have to look like them. But nowadays, you need to look like them. Otherwise, I can't relate to you. If I don't see a Mexican in power, how am I ever gonna aspire to be a Mexican leader? Like a true Mexican in our society. Like, mm. As my girlfriend says, I gotta eat the best tacos. I gotta eat the best burritos. Right? I can't stand that are true Mexican. I can't stand for anything less. If a white person makes it, it's not Mexican. Sorry. If an Indian person makes it, it's not Mexican. Sorry. Like, what is this? This is more racist, more fucking divisive than what came before it. And the people just don't understand what they're working with, right? It's kind of hard not to criticize all these takes, these interviews and stuff like that, because as we'll get into a little bit later, George Lucas spelled it out for them. He would go in there and would give them a bunch of like notes and say, hey, maybe do this and that, take it in this direction, so that way it makes sense. But they were just like, we'll get into one of them with Leslie Headland where she's just fucking delusional about like, well, we don't need George's approval. Like, why are we all waiting for George's approval? It's like maybe because he created the fucking franchise. He would know best of what the story would come to, what the world, the environments, the characters and how they behave. Now, if you come into this as a fresh face and co-opt what he made, obviously what a lot of Hollywood producers and Hollywood in general does is, well, once they've taken on an IP that wasn't theirs originally, well, they need to put a twist or spin on it themselves so that way it's theirs, right? This is our property now, and this is what we did with it. It's like, how about just do what the fans were asking for, and you'll make your fucking money back, right? But instead, you've decided to alienate the fans that did enjoy the previous films, and you made them enemies. You've called them bigots, you've called them sexist, you've called them misogynist, racist, and all this stuff like that. The fucking words have lost their meaning. These people now are in the part that you don't want. They're in apathy. They can give a fuck about Star Wars now. And the fact that you see rows of Rose Tico and Ahsoka and all these other fucking toys on the shelf getting discounted, and then sometimes they're not even able to sell them, so they get sent to other fucking stores where the amount of of Disney Star Wars toys and figurines and other stuff like that that have not sold is still from the fucking Last Jedi. I think that kind of shows a little fucking fragment of the fact that people aren't buying into your shit. Otherwise, those toys, those fucking plastic pieces of hardware that you gave out, would be, running off the shelves. Instead, they're piling up, and other stores are just like on clearance. Fuck it, they're 5 cents. Please just take it off of our fucking property, right? We just need to clear some space, and they can't even do that because Star Wars is a damaged brand. They've hurt themselves. They've shot themselves in the foot so many times now. And then again, people like this. People like this.
There is no good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on, truly. You know what I mean? That you can look at any angle and see yourself relayed through all the characters, Darth to Luke. You know what I'm saying? But this show, yeah, I shouldn't use Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. I'm sorry, I'm too casual with that. This show is truly about that balance of power and balance of good versus evil, and realizing that so much of it, starts at the root, truly.
I also say it's a very emotional show in a way. It's kind of got a very human quality, which is, I think, what drew all of us as creatives, apart from the huge Star Wars element of it, which I think we're all fans of it. But it was a really human show, and it's really fun.
Again, very big, vague fucking words that they're using. Oh, god damn it. I closed that when I was supposed to. Shit. I'll fucking get that back real quick. Hold up. Where was it? Collider interview right here with this bitch. No, okay, it was just that. Oh, wait, no, I know where it's at. Hold your pants, guys. Hold your pants. Where the fuck did I put this thing? Sorry, we'll move from Matthew McConaughey. Again, this is a well-run machine show. We don't ever have any fuck-ups. Everything's intentional. Oh, fuck me. Okay, where is it? There it is. Okay. Open this up.
Going in, explaining her methodology.
Okay. So, now we blind this part, and then we put this one up so y'all can see what I'm talking about. All right, full screen this bitch. Let's take a listen.
I think it's difficult to do a show that is critical in any way of the Jedi, and I think that you saw that with Ryan's film. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that especially in that moment, people were very nervous about saying this particular institution may not be the light and perfect, stunning group of heroes that are totally nobly intentioned.
You're right. Become in 10 years.
Same thing as
Again, these people don't understand. And now, well, actually, no, we still have more to go through. So I will cut back from that. Boom, boom. All right. Continuing from that point. So again, they're just like, well, there was no good. There was no this and that. Like, you don't understand Star Wars. Because now we go into some of the other clips that have been making headway. And it's fucking embarrassing. Really bad. Let me see.
Well, Anakin just killed a whole Death Star. How many people died on that? Well, Anakin just...
You got shit like that. Let me see. You have them, again, saying that Disney says Gina Carano misconstrues why company fired her. Comments came in reply to memorandum filed on Thursday in support of Disney's motion to dismiss the lawsuit. And again, Gina, I'll just read the first part, basically says, Disney, you have a problem. You call others what you yourselves are, and you do, and are the things you tell others not to be. You demand apologies and can never figure out how to give one. They've never acknowledged that. And again, one of the fan favorite characters, guess what? Her action figures, they're nowhere to be found. And they flew off the shelf, especially as soon as that people found out she got fired because she spoke her mind when her co-stars were able to speak their mind, but it was the right message instead of the wrong message, in quote, what they would say. Oh, but yeah, just shit like this is fucking ridiculous to handle. I think I still have the next portion on here. Let me see. Do I? Yeah. So this part with fucking Leslie. God damn, this bitch is hard to listen to. All right, back to this page. And let's take a listen.
Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue. And I think the prequels are an excellent example of that. I mean, the idea that like when you're hiring a director, that everyone is sitting in there waiting for George Lucas and not for the person who's going to know to hire Ralph McQuarrie, that's the problem. That's the misogyny and the problem with the auteur myth as it stands today, because they're not thinking this is the person that will hire the right people, and this is the person that will be able to create the lookbooks and direct people to get them to that place. They're just thinking, do you have all the answers? And the truth is that nobody does, and anybody that says they do is lying. This is like
Yep, totally, lady. Totally. Shit. That's right. She has some horrible takes, but that is one of the worst. Okay. Back to this. But yeah, like I said, Chris Gore. A man of many opinions that Hollywood don't fucking like. I think that was it for that shit. But yeah, let's take a listen to what George had to say about Star Wars, right? Let's make sure it's all up. And
the first three, that everybody from 5 years old to 85 years old liked it all over the world, everywhere. And that was, I said, wow. Because there are certain aspects of that movie which say, they would say, well, it's not, it's all white men. I said, it's not. Most of the people in there are aliens. And the idea is that you're supposed to accept people for what they are, even if they're big and furry, or whether they've got they're green and whatever. The idea is all of the people are equal. The only people that aren't, which was in there, are the robots. Well, you can't come in here. We don't like your kind here. So they were the only ones that were discriminated against, and that was a way of saying, people always discriminate against something, and sooner or later, that's what's going to happen. And we're already starting it with AI, saying, well, we can't trust those robots. I do it every day. I take my temperature. I have my, all my vital signs things. If it comes out wrong, I just say, well, I don't trust the robots. Whatever it is, we'll do it again tomorrow. So, but that was a main part of that movie, was to make people realize that everybody is equal, no matter where they're from, no matter what they look like. That is the important thing, and it's all over. I mean, the whole movie is that way.
Jeez. It's almost like back then there was an ability to appease the masses, right? And relate to aliens, to fictional creatures that did not exist. You could be like, I see that point of view. Makes sense, right? And again, I will always point to Guardians of the Galaxy as a top contender for, you don't have to look like them to understand their fucking pain. They're all a bunch of troublemakers that, when they came together in a dire time, they did the right thing, put their differences aside, and saved the fucking galaxy. Hard to understand, right? Oh, you have one white male, but yet you have a raccoon, a fucking tree, a greenish motherfucker who doesn't understand metaphors, and then a green chick who has a fucking temper issue, right? An anger management issue. I can't relate to them, guys. They don't look like me. Like, fuck that shit. Like, if you're that fucking weak, you have to have someone look like you to be able to understand their story. Well, I guess you can never understand Casper the Ghost. I guess you can never understand Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because, well, guess what? You're not a vampire slayer. You'll never understand. Like, it's too easy to point to certain projects and IPs and being like, oh, so are you telling me you can't relate to Lightning McQueen? He's a car. You should be able to relate to him. These people are so fucking delusional. But again, like I said, George said what he said. Here's some more of what he had to say. I was the only one who really knew what Star Wars was, who actually knew this world, because there's a lot to it. The Force, for example, nobody understood the Force. When they started other ones after I sold the company, a lot of the ideas that were in the original sort of got lost. But that's what you get or that's what it is. You give it up, you give it up. So, even though he doesn't feel like Star Wars or that Disney understands or lost his ideas, he does admit that it is the way it is now because he sold it. Sadly, Disney has found a way to mismanage all three Lucasfilm IPs they acquired: Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Willow. Ooh, won't even mention Willow. They scrubbed that from their streaming site. It did so bad. They were like, yeah, erase it from history. We didn't do a Willows. You can't even purchase it on like fucking Blu-ray or 4K or anything like that. They're just like, no, no, that was garbage. But they know it was garbage. That's why they took it off their fucking streaming site. If they were so proud of it, where is it, right? Same thing with Indiana Jones. How bad was the Dial of Destiny, right? Literally right there in this fucking portion, it says they only lost over 134 million. I am pretty sure it is more than that because the amount of money that was put into that film, which we will not get reported until about 2 years from now, when, like, for Doctor Strange Mom, where they actually announced how much they spent, was like 350 or whatever million, instead of the reported 280 million. I feel like you're funneling the numbers a little bit, saying it made this amount or it was cost this much, when in reality it was much more expensive. And they're trying to use the tax breaks and other stuff, but like, I'm still gonna count the tax breaks and add that onto your fucking bill because that's dog shit that you would want to try and, shift the numbers just to make them look a little better. When you're just, here you go, this looks better, so it wasn't that expensive. No, you guys lost a fuck ton of money. And they just don't learn from their mistakes. Oh yeah. Last thing from George that I will pull up was what he was saying about, remakes and other shit like that. So let's take a listen.
In 10 years.
Same thing as it is now. There's one thing that's really what happens now, and it happens in streaming probably more than features, but features the same thing. Nobody knows what to do. The stories they're telling are just old movies. Let's do a sequel. Let's do another version of this movie. There's no, and it's not just in movies, but in almost everything. There's no original thinking. It's like people just, I saw something, let's do something like that.
Yeah.
And it's also the way the movies are sold. If you go in and say, I've got something that you've never seen before, that and you don't understand it, it's very hard to get a deal. I mean, you can do it, but it's like this big studios, they don't want that. They want something that is like something they've seen.
It's
because they don't have an imagination to come up with, to see something that isn't there. I mean, I got Star Wars done mainly because at the same time I was writing the script, I hired an artist to draw pictures of what I was doing because I knew I couldn't describe what it was impossible. But when you see the pictures, you say, oh, I get it. And that was really what made the movie, what sold it.
It's what we
So tell me, how is it so hard to understand what he said there? You know what I mean? Hollywood's ran out of ideas. They can't do anything other than build off of previous movies that existed. Hey, let's do a Star Wars film like Die Hard. Let's do a Star Wars film like Breaking Bad. Let's do a Star Wars film like The Walking Dead. They keep on using other famous IPs and other things that worked back in the past and say, hey, let's fucking use that, right? We could do that. And instead of creating original ideas like he already explained, Hollywood also just doesn't want to fucking do that. They're just like, no, I don't feel secure in that. That's too risky. But yet, when you have standouts like last year's Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, things like that actually are creatively unique. Even Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, last year, blew past many records. People didn't even expect a dark child movie, right? Where there was actually some fear in there, right? Like people would hear the fucking whistle and be like, "Ooh, ooh, I'm spooked." Holy shit. You're fucking relating to Puss in Boots with some fucking PTSD shit, right? And it's just like we need more of that. But whenever those unique IPs kind of come out, they're shunned by the executives and other things in power because it doesn't fit their narrative fucking agenda. Instead, they'd rather go to something else that might make them money. But all I see is they don't understand what made those films or those IPs great. And instead, oh, they've only made it worse by a fucking landslide. Okay. Moving on from our next topic. Actually, real quick, we're hitting the 30-minute mark, so I want to take our time to acknowledge something that is productive in the world. Today is the third annual World Reef Awareness Day. Now, for this, I would say it is very important and very impactful, especially to the ecosystems of the ocean, where the mismanagement of human nature and other stuff like that, we have an increase of deteriorating reefs. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of ecosystems have been affected by humans and not necessarily taking into account how much garbage we put in, how much pollution and other things like that affect the environment around us. Well, June 1st is World Reef Awareness Day, and it helps to create awareness amongst various businesses, communities, and general public about the fragile biological system of our ocean. Coral reefs, again, are very important to the ocean. Not only does it house a lot of housing for animals and creatures that exist in the ocean, but it also is able to, like plants, you know, a symbiosis relationship with the animals of the ocean, creating more oxygen, more carbon dioxide, and filtering out harmful elements. Um, whatchamacallit, history of World Reef Awareness. Oh my god, I can't speak. World Reef Awareness Day. The oldest corals appeared about 50 million years ago on, or even earlier. Researchers suggest that they began as plain as solitary organisms and with time and constant environmental changes transformed into a beautiful coral reef that exists today. During the Ice Age, around 440 million years ago, sea temperatures dropped at an exponential rate, and a large number of corals diminished from the oceans. This is called the Ordovician Silurian extinction event. Around 410 million years ago, in the Devian period, corals began to appear again. During the end of the period, stony corals started growing, which were a rare form of reef back then. Around 350 million years ago, corals disappeared again due to unstable sea levels. So, as you see, a lot of stuff has gone in for coral reefs. I'll skip that other paragraph, but go on from this one. After disappearing and reappearing for another few million years, coral reefs finally reappeared 46 million years ago and disappeared for the last time during the mid-Eocene era. 20 million years ago later, they finally made a comeback in the form of the Great Barrier Reef in Australia, which was found by the British explorer Captain James Cook in 1770. Lately, some of the most beneficial reefs have been diminishing because of coral blanching, rising ocean temperatures, and toxic pollution. Moreover, the use of harmful sunscreens and increased tourism are also considered threats to the well-being of the coral. So, as I would say, please take note, and yeah, it is very important to be wary of our coral reefs. They hold a very unique position in our ecosystems and in the world of nature and stuff like that, where it benefits a lot of fish life and is a very unique kind of plant life, I guess you could say, because they are living organisms and are able to move sometimes. And the other thing is just we have a huge impact. We usually don't ever actually notice until it's too late, and this is something that can be course corrected with enough human intervention. So please, if you can, take some time, do some research, and if you can, donate to any organization that does support supplying, I guess you could say, or helping out the coral reefs. But that's my little segment for that portion. Continuing on, we'll continue from Trump in a minute, but Matthew McConaughey has gone in a little bit of heat. Not him personally, but Joy Behar, all because of her fucking ridiculous comments she wants to make. So let's take a little look-see. Listen, I don't know if this part will get claimed. Probably have to cut it from about... Huh? Subtitles for this? Okay. So we'll do subtitles.
Caitlin Clark.
God damn it. I don't want to fucking see that, motherfucker. Alright, so we'll start from this portion. Oh, closed caption. Oh, there it is. So we're going to talk about where he is basically asked if he would run for congressman or senator for Texas, and he gets kind of asked an outlandish question by this that chick right there on his left side. But let's see what his response is. Right now he's talking about Robb Elementary, but a little bit further he will continue. Yeah. All right, sorry here. Right here, she says, you consider to run for governor of the state of Texas. Do you think political offices in your future, can you see that if it's where I would deem myself? Sorry, he says. It's a little hard with fucking out here actually hearing them, so my bad. Can you see yourself if it's where, sorry, so he says, if it's where I would deem myself to be most useful, yeah, yes. If you think you can get elected in Texas being anti-gun, do I think I get elected? So Joy basically asks there, I'll be able to play this little portion. It won't be too bad. So this little portion right here.
Do I think I could get elected in Texas being anti-gun? One thing about if me in politics is to give you a direct statement right there is playing a game that I'm not interested in playing. Okay, to give you a direct statement right there.
And again, you see Matthew McConaughey's face right there. He's like, how dare you try and get me in a fucking gotcha question on your show when you asked me to come on here. Like, the whole point of these shows is supposed to be able to, like, prop people up or whatever, but whenever they bring people like this, usually men, they're always attacking them in such a fashion that is detrimental to these other people's causes, that they're just trying to paint them in a bad light. These people don't know what they're talking about, whatever. This part I can play without fucking worry, but here we got fucking Matthew McConaughey at the White House.
Oh. We need responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun ownership. We need background checks. We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle to 21. We need a waiting period for those rifles. We need red flag laws and consequences for those who abuse them. These are reasonable, practical, tactical regulations to our nation, states, communities, schools, and homes. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. These regulations are not a step back. They're a step forward for a civil society and the Second Amendment.
One thing we have to remember is most of the...
Very well said, Matthew. But again, they always think guns are the problem, right? Guns are the issue. It's not like humans have any will of their own, right? The gun just fired itself. Huh? Right, there's not a human error in the fucking whole thing with guns being misused. The whole prospect of using guns in defense of a tyrannical government, of a home invader, someone committing a crime that definitely either hurt someone or enacted some form of violence, putting them and taking them down with a gun, proper use of it, that should be pushed forward more. But these people, they don't see that. They all see that, well, this conservative, all of a sudden, he just shot up a school of a bunch of kids. No, maybe there's more to the story, right? There's always more to the story. Was bullied, he had mental issues, wasn't addressed properly, was abused, whatever. Like, and especially with the current manifestos coming out, it just. Oh, sorry. There's the other thing too. How did he get the gun? Right. Sometimes these people acquire the guns. Sometimes these people acquire the guns because guess what? The parents unfortunately did not put the guns locked up in a safe, or even if they did, the child knew the combination, so they'd unlock it and take the gun out. And then you have the other crazier fucking situations where someone buys a gun illegally through a third party that can't be traced because it's not registered, right? How are you supposed to account for that shit? And the biggest thing that is a takeaway is that, well, criminals will always find a way to enact their violence. It doesn't take much. There's always a fucking sleazy, sneaky way for these fucking people to do it, right? They just don't understand that. They're like, well, why aren't these people just law-abiding citizens? Why aren't they doing what they're supposed to? It's like, maybe because humans are infallible. They have this flaw in them that some of them think, for some reason, going about it this way will give them the result they want, when usually it either results in their early death or them locked up for life. And only recently have these fucking loony goddamn cities and states allowed for these people to be released back into the fucking public, where they're committing the same crime over and over again. And we're blaming responsible gun owners for that shit. They're just like, well, god damn it, it must be the guns if they just keep using a gun every time they assault someone. It's like, what? No, it's the fact that these people don't give a shit. They're gonna do whatever the fuck they want, regardless of the law or not. That is the biggest thing. But yes, and like he's saying, I would think even registering to go into the military should probably be increased in age too. If you're gonna allow 18-year-olds to go into service, die for their country, and use a weapon and stuff like that, well, guess what? They're not fully developed. They're not fully understanding of what they're getting themselves into sometimes, and some of these people just jump right into it and they die a very early death. Very unfortunate RIP to all our fallen soldiers that died before they even made it to 21. Country was built off of, brave young men, but we're in a day and age where we can stop that. Maybe have people, again, have the limit be 21 and up. Because if there's an excuse for them saying, well, you can buy cigarettes at 21, you can buy this and that. Well, guess what? That got bumped up. Alcohol, 21, right? All these other things increase to 21 because what? They understand that young people haven't developed fully in the mind. They have to go through a little bit more life lessons, a little bit more development to fully understand what they're going through, what the world is, and nuances and stuff like that. But if you're just going over there holding their hand, being like, you can use a gun, and then they go out, they're all fucked up in the head, and you have some Luna fucking tick just shooting up a bunch of random people because they have PTSD or they were mental illness that wasn't checked, right? Like, it can be addressed, but the way these people decide to actually go about it, they push the problem to the sidewalk. They're like, nah, they got blinds on. I don't know what's going on. I see my pretty palace, my mansion, and that's all I got, right? They're not looking at all the homeless people. They're not looking at all the people suffering, going through all this crap because of the US getting worse, right? But maybe if you actually address the issues instead of calling other people racist, bigots, and other crap like that, we probably would get somewhere with that. Ooh, Damn, I didn't even think I would make that for a 15-minute segment, but we did. Last and most importantly, this will be a very short one because UFC will definitely fucking track us on this one. But the former president, Donald Trump, makes his appearance at UFC 302 in New Jersey. And let me tell you, the crowds went wild. A lot of people fucking happy and just thrilled to see this man being able to make an appearance. And whatchamacallit, let's see if we can fucking hear this one. Yeah, this one. You got this other fucking section where they're going F Joe Biden. Let me see if I find out where that one's at right here. It's a little bit more. Yeah, it's a little bit more. But you got a bunch of famous people, fighters and stuff like that, taking pictures with him and just fucking thrilled. You got the comedian right there. God, I can't remember his name right now, but fucking that dude, crass as hell, but he's over here fucking like, hey, Donald Trump, this is my boy. Jesus Christ. Like, this was beautiful to see. And for a good fight, too. Let's see if I can find it. There you go, this portion right here. Let me tell you, I don't think they made the right call there, especially when you've got convicted criminals, you've got illegal immigrants that have come through, committed murder, have pleaded not guilty when they've clearly been shown in surveillance footage. You have people, also you got other people raping other people. You got the increase in just shoplifting, whatchamacallit. Nah, those crimes we're not going to address, especially in New York and California where it's the most rampant. We're not going to address that. Instead, we're going to go ahead and attack former president Donald Trump and make him even more popular because he did something that he didn't actually do. Someone that worked for him fucking stole from him and then used that money to hush a former porn star, Stormy Daniels, and yet somehow he's seen as the bad guy. And to add fucking more criticism to that point, they told the judge told the jury, guess what? You don't even all have to unanimously decide on that fucking fact. Some of you can say it was this, some of you can say it was that, and then as long as you all say it was guilty, that's fine by me. That's a conviction. It's like, so how are we supposed to feel safe in the legal system? And now with this precedence, guess what? Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, all the other fucking people in office, Joe Biden, should be held accountable for their crimes, right? How many people did Obama kill innocently in the Middle East with drone strikes? Families that we never knew their names. Kids that never got to go to 5th grade. All this stuff. Oh, because we didn't actually see the video or the footage, but he called for the drone strikes because guess what? Terrorists might have been in that building, and so we snuffed them out. But also the collateral damage that ensued wasn't talked about. Yeah, we're going to sweep that under the rug. What about all the stuff that that Trump did, right? Got us out of fucking Iraq, got us out of Iraq, got us eliminated ISIS, actually talked to fucking Kim Jong-un, right? When everybody else was like, no, you can't do that. And was like, why? Why can't we talk to the man, right? Instead of making an enemy, try and at least talk to him and come to some agreement. Like, the man had never done a press conference before, and guess what? Trump was able to get fucking Kim Jong-un to do a press conference. He exuded that much energy, I guess you could say, of like, hey, this is a respect. I'm not going to do anything, but if you try something, I won't hesitate, right? But from the other side, they're just like, well, you shouldn't even talk to them because they're this and that. It's like, great way to be able to understand people, right? How do you think we were able to end World War II? Yeah, we were able to surround the Nazis, but also what? Treaty of Versailles. We came to a fucking agreement. Even Russia, sided with us by the end, but so many things that get lost and manipulated in a certain fashion because these people are fucking loony as goddamn hell. And then you have Joe Biden smirking and all this other crap, being asked, oh, what about Trump, this and that? And just like, I did that. It's like, God, we are in the fucking worst timeline right now with these people in power because they don't care about the country. They don't care about the people. They're just like, well, as long as we're on top, we have this power. We're not going to let it go, right? What a fucking loony state we're in. But that's all I've got for my short little episode, stream, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Let me know down below what y'all found interesting or liked about George Lucas. We'll bring it right back to that. Do you think George Lucas was actually on the right path, being able to understand that, hey, I can appease the masses without like dividing the fucking audience members? Do you think it's right that these people are so against him that they would paint him and say like, well, we don't need to have his approval? Like, what is Star Wars to you? Is it George Lucas's Star Wars or is it Disney Star Wars? And how well have they been doing because of that, right? Yeah, I think that's all I got for now. With that being said, Shinigami signing out. Y'all have a good morning, good evening, and good night. We will see you in the next one. Bye.